and we can get started. Thank you, everybody, for making the time to join us today for our Gardens Watch Annual AGM 2024. So we've just got the typical agenda where we'll run through what we've achieved this year and what we hope to achieve in the upcoming months. With I can't see how many. Oh, with 14 people here, we have reached quorum, so we can go ahead and continue as planned. So Ryan, I thought I'd start with you, give a bit of an update on the SID before we launch into all of the other admin things. So feel free to take over the screen there. I'll stop sharing for you.
Firstly, just checking you can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you.
And yes, thank you very much. And thank you for letting me go first.
Not a problem.
I have and one of the apartment block trustees meetings to attend after this to answer some SID questions. So I'll be relatively quick. It's really just to update you guys where we are at, what's the process for the next steps, how you can help, and then answer any questions. So just a quick voting update. I want to just see, can you see my whole screen?
I don't see anything.
Anyone else?
Oh wait, no, yes, I can see it.
Yeah, I can see everything.
I can see everything. Okay, perfect. So I'm very happy to say we have passed the 60% threshold of 843 yes votes. This will allow us to submit our proposal, which is the 5-year business plan, to the City of Cape Town, and the council will then vote on that approval. So that's great news. It's a fantastic achievement in the fact that we would be by far and away the largest SID where the majority of property owners are actually in residential apartment blocks, more than 2/3, which across the 20 big apartment blocks we have in our precinct. So that's great. There's still 510 properties that haven't voted, and as you can see, 95% of the properties that have voted yes. So that's also extremely low number of no votes. So all very positive. Going into the next slide, there are some challenges ahead. Okay. So although we've received votes and confirmation both via physical forms and online forms, we have at the same time been following the City of Cape Town's guidance on the audit process, which means that, when we are ready to hand over the votes, they would audit every single vote to make sure that it's real and that it has all the supporting documents. As of today, there are 260 yes votes that would not pass the City of Cape Town's audit. And this is predominantly due to missing documentation. It's sometimes very simple. The person didn't put their earth number on it. They didn't sign it. They didn't sign the second property owner. And sometimes a little bit more complex, that they're a trust or a company and they require a company resolution or a trust resolution, and they haven't had another of the trustees or directors sign that. So we have to navigate all of that, and we're in the process of developing just kind of a detailed matrix to understand the problem. But the one good piece of good news for me anyway is that those 260 votes represent 72 individual owners. So that's not inconceivable that we can engage and have good engagement with those 72 owners to get us across the line. But if we had to submit our proposal now, it wouldn't pass the audit. We have until the 31st of October to vote formally, and the city will give us up to 3 months to get all the supporting documentation. So hopefully we want to have it completed, worst case scenario, by the 31st of January. Just to give you a quick understanding of the SID process, everything that step 1 to step 7, you'll know already. We've followed this. This is the kind of defined process that's defined by the bylaws. But more interestingly, what's happening next, and I think this is quite important. Some of these steps I have put in just to explain it in a little bit more detail. We're still at step 8, which is the gathering of the votes. They'll end at the end of October. Okay. In the month of November, the steering committee led by myself will engage the 45 odd no votes. That represents, I think the figure is 35 unique property owners have voted against. We'll engage them, understand their objectives, and respond to them formally. We'll do that by a series of meetings as well as personal engagements. Okay. Then we will be working with, as a steering committee, and all the fantastic volunteers, many of you on the line today, have helped us to get all the supporting documentation in place. We will, in early November, already submit to the SID department in the City of Cape Town all the votes that we know will pass, and have all the documentation and keep them very up to date about the ones that we haven't got all the documentation just yet. Okay. And then it will be submitted to the council. The council will hopefully vote on it and vote positively. There's no reason why they shouldn't vote positively with so few no votes. And if we can provide all the documentation anytime between March and April, potentially into May, hopefully as soon as March, maybe even earlier. Okay. Then an important point, step 13. So just so you understand, the bylaw requires the steering committee to form the non-profit company, and those steering committee members will be directors of that first company. They then have a period of 6 months, according to the bylaw, where they need to call an AGM, and they need to stand down as directors, and they need to put board members and directors, and they one and the same, and they need to pull together or constitute a new board. Okay. So the vast majority of steering committee members, almost all of them, if I stand to be corrected, but I need to get it in writing, do not have any intention to continue as directors of the SID or future board members. Okay. So I personally, between the month of January and June of next year, will be looking to what they refer to co-opt potential board members. Okay. And these will be people that could potentially be board members, provided that the community votes for them, but they will be involved in the setup process. So they'll understand in detail everything the steering committee will need to do between January and June, like, for instance, RFP processes, selection of suppliers, all the legal work, all the accounting work, finance work, etc., etc. So that if the entire steering committee, including myself, step down, it won't be a vacuum, which is a very important point. So I'll come to that with in more detail when I talk about how you guys can help. Okay, but we will also need to obviously put together the official RFPs, select the suppliers, advertise the 2 full-time SID positions, 2 staff members, and that'll all need to happen before June. We'll need to form the SID company as soon as we get permission from the City of Cape Town after the council vote, which will potentially be May or June. Okay, we'll then need to appoint the SID staff and the suppliers, hopefully in the month of June, and hopefully the SID can be operational from the 1st of July. To be honest, most SIDs aren't able to achieve this. It's a combination of them not being organized enough and the City of Cape Town, generally delaying it right until kind of June. I myself also have a property in Camps Bay. They're doing fantastic work, but they still haven't appointed all of their suppliers, although they are moving at a rate of knots, and they are very organized. So it does take time. So they need to manage the expectation that on the 1st of July, when the SID starts and everyone starts paying their levies, not everything just happens instantly. And it all depends on what happens over the 6 months prior to that. My intention as the chairperson is to have, as soon as the SID is formed, to have the first AGM. So in the month of August, to have the AGM and to appoint a new board. Okay, so that's kind of the broad process that will happen. How can you help? If you haven't voted, I think everyone on this line has voted, but if you haven't voted, please vote yes. If you're against it, please vote no as well, but just please vote. As you've seen, the the SID will be in place as the 1st of July, so please keep supporting the Gardens Watch. We don't want there to be a vacuum between now and then. It's very important. Gardens Watch does great work with no resources, so very appreciative of that. Okay. We have a great volunteer network, but we're always happy for other people to put up their hand. So if anyone wants to put up their hand and help us with the collection of documentation, that might mean administration work. It doesn't necessarily mean knocking on the doors of property owners. Depends on the problem that we're trying to solve. So, you know, if you're interested, put your hand forward. And then lastly, of what I spoke about, we and myself in particular are looking for property owners who would be considered being co-opted as potential board members of the SID. Okay. And this is it's an unpaid position, and it's very important because there are lots of SIDs and not all of them are good. Okay. And the good ones are dependent on two things: having an excellent proactive board who have a range of skills and who are, you know, involved as property owners in their SID precinct, and the selection of very good suppliers and holding them extremely accountable for the metrics that, you know, the board and the community determine. So, you know, all because we've achieved the potential yes vote and the city might vote for us doesn't mean that suddenly now the city is going to be fantastic and everything is going to work. That's not the case. There's a huge amount of work that has to happen, and it's very dependent on a high quality board and a very good selection of suppliers. So, you know, myself, I'll take this on as a kind of personal task, trying to find the right board. There will be 7 board members based on feedback from the City of Cape Town that they gave me yesterday. That's their recommendation, so that there's never an even number. And I'm definitely looking for people who have experience and skill sets in the accounting and finance space, the legal and compliance space, in project management broadly, and anyone who has portfolio or program experience in the 4 big areas that the city has to cover, from public safety, urban management, social services, maintenance and cleaning, parks and recreation. Okay. So if anyone's interested to just help volunteer, and if anyone actually thinks that they could be a competent board member and are really interested in being very proactive, then please reach out to me. Understand that all because you reach out and all because we co-opt you doesn't necessarily mean that you will become a board member. There has to be a vote. And I will certainly be very, very transparent. I'm looking for very, very high quality board members, and I'll provide kind of direct feedback if I think that people aren't capable. And I will certainly propose people at the first AGM based on my interaction with them over the last 6 months prior to the SID being formed. So yeah, that's it. Very happy to answer any questions. I hope I didn't take too long. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to talk about it.
That was great, Ryan. Thank you very much. Does anybody have any questions quickly for Ryan?
I'm going to stop sharing.
Any raised hands?
Just as a matter of interest, why are none of the steering committee interested in going forward as board members if they have the passion to get it off the ground?
So I can't speak for each individual steering committee member. Each of them have different reasons, but I can talk happily for myself. I was never in my intention to be involved at an operational level in the community. I decided to support this initiative because I felt that it was the only true mechanism to actually implement change and correct funding model for the lower gardens. And I was tired of people talking and complaining, but no one doing anything about it. So that was always my personal intention. And I think the steering committee, many of them supported it through a kind of a similar initiative. They just wanted to get something going because no one else was willing to put their hand up. And it's a huge amount of work. Literally thousands of hours of work have been done over the last year and a half to get us where we are. It's not paid. I've put in a substantial amount of my own money into this project. So yeah, it's a full-time profession, and I have my own business. So that would be my reason, and I think many of the steering committee are in the same boat.
It just seems a pity from the point of view of continuity. That was all. Hence my question.
Yeah, I know. I feel the same, and one thing a lot of people forget when engaging me is I'm also a property owner. I also don't want to pay more taxes. I also want to live in a nice area. So the unfortunate thing about that is we require people to put up their hand and do stuff to keep that going, and the SID is a good example of that. So I do believe we've got 1,432 properties, something like that. So if we can't find 7 exceptionally good board members, then we haven't done a good enough job. So if we can get the vote to 843, we can find 7 excellent board members. And there are people. We've definitely come across very capable people in the short time that we've been doing this process. So hopefully people will put themselves forward, and hopefully we'll have an embarrassment of riches to choose from. And again, when I say choose from, it's the community that chooses. It's not, I'll put my personal recommendations forward, but at the AGM, the community will vote on it.
Thank you.
Ross?
Yep. Thank you, Ryan, for the presentation. And from the bottom of my heart, thank you for the insane work you've done and for getting us to this point. Clearly not quite across the line officially yet, but I think it's largely there. So just a massive, massive vote of thanks. You've been so professional and so on point. Yeah, really, really grateful.
Thank you. But I mean, many people in the community have supported the initiative, and I can assure you that certainly this last bit we wouldn't have been able to achieve without the support of people like yourself and the wider volunteer network. It's been great.
I don't feel like I've done anywhere close to enough to receive any thanks, but I did have a question which was more around what do you have any sense of the time commitments that being a board member of a SID is likely to entail? Because thinking about it in a vacuum of what does this commitment look like, it's a little difficult to make any decision.
Yeah, I mean, it's a difficult question to answer because I think the more that the more capable each board member is, and the more time they can dedicate, the better the SID will be. That is a fact, and that's an obvious fact. The problem is people will. The bylaw does not allow it to be a paid position. Okay, so people will need to do that purely out of their love for the community and their own personal commitment, which is great. And there are people like that, but everyone is time poor and has very different kind of commitments. So if I look at the steering committee in Camps Bay that I was referring to earlier, that's not steering committee, the board that's highly capable. All of them are at the end of not their life, their career, and they all have more than enough money, so they can dedicate time and energy to making sure that Camps Bay becomes a fantastic, successful SID. But it's a completely different makeup to lower gardens, just like CCID, and they're all different, so you have to constitute a board that represents your community, but has capable people and people who can dedicate their time. I can't give you a number, but I can tell you that just doing what we've done as a steering committee and myself as a chairperson, it's been thousands of hours, and it's been like every day. So I would imagine the operations will be like that, because I, as a member of the SID, will be phoning board members and saying, why is there rubbish on the corner? Why wasn't this dealt with? Because that's why we have a SID, and that's why I wanted to be involved and support a SID, because I actually finally would have someone to be absolutely accountable. That I can take a board member, I can take a SID manager, I can know their number, I can walk up to their house and we'll phone them on their cell and say, why is this not happening? Because every cent that we're spending has to be spent on our community. So it's a very different type of model to what we have currently. So it is a big commitment. and I would, anyone who wants to put themselves forward needs to take it very seriously. Because I as a shareholder of the SID, being a property owner, will be one of hopefully many property owners that will be on them to make sure that it's run well.
Okay, then Francine.
Thanks. I actually just wanted to give some input in response to Ross's question as well. So obviously, as city councillors, we also sit on the board of the SIDs, and I sit on both the Greenpoint SID and the OK SID, for example. I imagine at the start of as Ryan said, when we start up the organization, there'll probably be a much larger requirement from the board. But once it gets running, I, for example, sit on I have to attend a meeting every 2 months. It's an hour, it's a board meeting. Obviously, again, it depends on your level of commitment and how much oversight you want to contribute in terms of the finances in particular. But once the sort of management team is established, it then really just sort of runs itself. And your role on the board is about oversight and making sure that the money is being well spent. And then an annual AGM. I mean, that's kind of where we're at now. But as I say, there might be more time required at the start, but then it's sort of, when it becomes business as usual, I don't think it's as taxing. Thanks.
Can I respond to that, Francine?
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I mean, you're absolutely spot on with regards to the law, the bylaw and the requirements. And I agree with you on those time requirements. But I think the success of the SIDs, and the one thing I had the personal opportunity to do, I think I went to 10 different SIDs, and you see the big difference between the highly capable SIDs and the very average SIDs. And I think certainly, if I talk from my own, and again, it's a personal opinion, the reason why I've supported a SID is because I think Lower Gardens could be a unique inner city suburb globally. It's so uniquely positioned, and Cape Town is such a unique and wonderful place. And that's what I would hope for the SID. And certainly, I'll be the guy at the AGM, and I hope many people with me who will really be pushing not only the suppliers, the SID managers, but also the board to really take it to a next level. For me, it won't just be about okay, they cleaned and we reduced crime. That's great, but I'm hoping that it will completely transform our suburb, and that's my expectation. So we will need a highly capable, engaged board to do that. Otherwise, we'll just have a very good cleaning team and some nice public safety officers who will definitely reduce crime. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, I think we can aim for more than that, and that's why certainly I hope that we can have a very proactive and very highly competent, very involved board, and of course, amazing suppliers and staff members. If you select anything, it's like a company. If you hire the best people, then the company will be much better. But the board's got to ensure that they hire the best people and then hold them accountable together with the community, which is the shareholders. The community are the shareholders of the SID. And that's how they should see it, because they fund it. It wouldn't exist if it wasn't for them. Anyway, I'm quite passionate about the subject, so I hope you don't mind being direct about it.
Okay, well, it looks like that's all the questions for now, Ryan. So thank you very much for giving us the update. And I will let you go on your way to convince more people to support.
Thank you, guys. Have a wonderful day. Please keep supporting Garden Watch. They do a great job. Thanks a lot. Cheers.
Thanks. Cheers. Okay, so the next thing to just run through is having a look at the finances over the past year compared to last year. So in terms of donations, we received 145, almost 146,000 rand, which is less than last year. But thanks to Nikki investing some of the money in a interest-bearing account, we were able to make another extra R1,000, which brings our total to 147,000 rand, which is still about, what's that, 7,000 rand less than last year. And as you can imagine, with the interest rates, with the inflation, bringing in less money is not great. Our target for monthly donations is 15,000 rand, and we get on average about 12,000 rand. So we used to ask people to contribute about 150 rand. We can't force anybody to contribute, but we recommended 150 rand per person or per household. And at that rate, we would just need 100 people to contribute 150 rand to hit our target. And if people contributed 200 rand per month, then we'd only need 75 people to contribute. So it's just a note to please, if you can increase your contributions. I mean, every cent is appreciated and valued, but as you know, the economy is against us. So yeah, the more, the better. Spread the word. Then in terms of our expenses, we had audit fees, which are standard. The bank charges remain fairly straightforward. We've got no budget for marketing costs and printing. So any flyers you've seen have all been donated. Anything like that, we've managed to get free of charge. Consumables and the miscellaneous, we spent about the same as in 2023. Salaries increased slightly because it was well overdue that the cleaning team got an increase, because they've been working for us for quite a while now on the same salaries. And then bonuses, we also gave less this year than last year. That is also attributed because they're performance bonuses. So it's not necessarily that we didn't have the money, it's also kind of based on their performance. But yeah, we obviously want to try to incentivize them, kind of give them a nice Christmas bonus every year. We will be doing a call for Christmas bonuses closer to the time. So start putting that in your budget so that you've got some spare change towards the end of the year. And then for uniforms, we spent about 1,500 rand, and repairs and maintenance is where we saved a lot of money this year. I'm not 100% sure, Nikki can probably clarify, but the large repairs and maintenance could be for the cart that we've got. I've got some photos of that coming up. But basically, with the little amount of money that we have, I think it's been very well spent. It doesn't leave us with much to do anything extra with. What we have now as accumulated surplus is about 41,000 rand, but that money is reserved for in the event that we have to retrench the cleaning team or kind of close down that project, which hopefully doesn't happen. But if we do, we want to be able to give the cleaning team a good severance package. So that money, it has a purpose sitting there. It's not just, so that it looks good that we've got some extra money. Then for the cleansing team, just to remind everybody who the team is, what they do. Sorry, Nikki's given me some info. Let's see. It also includes the cameras. The repairs and maintenance includes the cameras. After the camera installation was destroyed in Maynard, we needed to reinstall. So that's an unfortunate incident that cost us quite a bit. And that's why having that extra bit of money saved away comes in useful when we need it. So our cleaning team is Shamiz and Donovan. And this is the cart. I took a photo of it today. It's a little bit worse for wear now. It looked fantastic when it started, and it's still working really, really well. We've even had at least one person come and scan the SnapScan code and make a donation. So it's good branding. It works well. Everybody around the neighborhood knows it. So it's definitely been a good addition to the team. Then to give an idea of how we work, I meet with the team twice a day, just to kind of check in the morning, check in the afternoon, see how the day went. We've got the area broken down into smaller areas, and they do one area per day. Often they do finish that area, then they'll go on and work on some other areas in the hotspots. And then in the middle here, I've just included a nice graphic that Kevin put together a while back, just showing, and this isn't even all of the bags that were collected this year. This is probably maybe a few months worth, just to give you an idea of how much work they actually do on a daily basis. And then, of course, all of the donations that we get, all of the contributions go towards, well, most of them go towards the cleaning team and the salaries. But then over and above that, I just wanted to note the support that we've gotten from the Crazy Store, Tuffy, and Very Green, who've donated bags, and then also the City of Cape Town that have donated bags twice. And you can see that you can't actually get a good image there, but behind Francine and I is a bucky with, how many was it? 20,000 bags and 10 brooms and 10 spades and 10 rakes, which is incredibly helpful for the team. So thank you for that, Francine. It's much appreciated. And then just moving on to the chat groups, as members of the Gardens Watch, you have access to two WhatsApp groups. There's the Gardens Watch chat, which is the general chat where you can talk about missing cats, dogs, social events. You know, if you're giving away your stove, whatever it is, post it there, have a nice chat. And then we've also got the Gardens Watch Crime Alerts group, which is for emergencies and for contacting Watchcom to basically say that there's, something needs to be attended to. I do want to say that there will be times when we have to remind people which group to use for different purposes and to perhaps curb conversation happening in the crime alerts group. And it's incredibly difficult to remind people which group to use without offending someone. So there have been a number of times where we've tried to politely ask people to use a different group, and we get a bit of pushback. So I just want to say, don't take it personally. We're trying our best to be polite, but sometimes people just interpret it the wrong way. So let's all work together, keep the channels where they should be, and especially keep the crime alert channel open so that the team can respond to emergency issues. They can see them and they can be alerted very easily. Then for, go back. Social events for 2023, we had a very successful Halloween event last year. I've got some pictures here. I'm sure Agnese will mention a bit more about it shortly. And then we also had some social events which were also quite successful earlier on in the year. Attendance has slowed down a bit, so we'll kind of try to promote them a bit better, remind people about them. But I must say that it has given me at least some contact with other community members like Jeanette, where we had a nice little social event outside of the official social event. So it's a great way to meet your neighbors, form some relationships, form friendships, and I highly recommend that everybody tries to attend some. And we're not just about safety and cleanliness, we're also about building a strong community. And we want to get to know you. So come and chat and have a drink. We'd love to see you there. And then we've also got a Halloween event coming up on the 31st of October. And if Agnese is around, Ross, is she there by you? Ross? Agnese?
Hey, sorry, just trying to find the mouse.
Can you open the video as well? Then I say hi.
Sorry, Taranya,
Sorry that
there.
we are delayed. Hi, everyone. There is a ocean behind me. Okay, cool. Yeah. Thank you very much, Matt. And hi, everyone. So this year, Halloween, we are actually going to try to do it. We're going to do it on the 31st of October, so the official date. Differently from previous years where we always held it on a Sunday, to try also to make it easier for parents. This year we found it was a little bit far away in the calendar, the weekend from the actual date. So we're going to try to do it on Thursday next week. So far I have 7 houses who subscribed to be available. It's mainly on Maynard Street, so we will not have to cross the streets. We will have some people patrolling, of course, from our volunteers in our roads. And we have around 15 children at the moment who sent me messages and confirmed their presence. I expect to have a little bit more. So for the people who have volunteered to give, be ready to have candies or trick or treats available, yeah, please consider maybe to be around 20. And I usually expect that there are some last minute add on, and we will meet in Maynard Park at 5:30. We will allow a little bit of time, just mingle a little bit there, take some photos, and then do the usual street the usual street walk together. Because it's a bit of a slightly smaller group and usually there are parents, I think we can go all together, but we will eventually organize once we have all the children there. So I would suggest that if there is anyone who wants to add their presence, please feel free to write to me anytime. My number is here, but also you find me on the Gardens Watch groups. And yeah, we are looking forward to be all spooky together. And please get dressed.
And so,
We want to
Agnese,
see those people.
for
Yes.
people who are going to be joining in and assisting, will they just contact you and then you will just create a WhatsApp group, or you will communicate with them individually?
Yes, usually I do it individually. I wouldn't want to add another. I have all the list of the people who have already subscribed for the houses, and then usually I send a reminder to everyone who is maybe from Butenkamp Street and will just come and join. And we will have, of course, our donation possibility. If there is anyone who can contribute, if you're not from the street or from this area, we welcome everyone for just a bit of contribution. But yeah, usually every year I update everyone individually on the numbers of children, more or less, so you can cater for it. And then we will ask Tanya again to be the judge, to give a little prize, probably from the Crazy Store like last year,
And
to the best dress.
Narona has also said that they're happy to donate prizes when we have a
Oh,
need.
that is great. Great. So then we will add that to the competition for the best dress, the spookiest dress.
I thought we were going to give a prize for the house, the best house as well.
We can, well, now that we have Narona, probably we can dedicate that as well. Yeah, we can dedicate maybe the Narona. Like last year we did the voucher from Dogs Bollocks and Yard was given to the best house. And then the Crazy Store prize was given to the best dress. So we try to keep the same format this year. I'm very happy to hear that Narona is given. Thank you very much for arranging it. And that's it. And any question you have, please feel free to write to me. No problem. You can write to me anytime during the day, during weekend. There's no problem. The more, the merrier.
Great. Thanks, Agnese.
That's all my side. Thank you very much.
And then also Dagmar, if you want to just chat about the garage sale idea.
So we had an idea to have a yard sale, more of a yard sale than a garage sale, since most of us probably don't have garages. But the idea, we would probably like to do it in March and upcoming years, but we thought November this year. And the idea would be that we would make a map and we would arrange on one Saturday to have all of us have a yard sale, and we would ask for a donation for the watch to participate, either a flat fee or a percentage of your sales, whichever I think everyone could choose. And yeah, I think it could be really fun and a way to do some spring cleaning. So I'll be sending more information closer to the time, but around probably the end of November. And yeah, let me know if you want to participate, and hopefully you'll either sell some things or go around and see what other people are selling and support them and the Gardens Watch.
Great. Thanks, Dagmar. Yeah, so we've got a lot of exciting things coming up. We're trying some different things, and yeah, hopefully everyone in the community supports. Oh yes, and then Ross, if you want to just talk a bit about the patrols. Basically, I know from my side that finding volunteers for patrols has been incredibly difficult. So yeah, I'd like to take this opportunity to support Ross and say, please, can we have volunteers, please? We need, yeah.
Thanks, Matt. Yeah, so I confess I haven't been as active as I would have liked to have been, but I haven't essentially been here for 4 months, the last 4 months. So, and I did speak to Matt about taking a back seat while I'm not actually in Maynard Street. But yeah, so we started a new patrol group because there were a lot of unresponsive people on the previous WhatsApp group for the patrol. But that may have been a tactical error because we only got 2 responses. So Dagmar, Matt, and I are on that group, and then 2 other members of the community signed up as patrollers. So patrol group of 5 is not gigantic, but it is doable. We could potentially work on that. But as I said, that came middle of the year, and then since July, I haven't been here. I've literally just come back into the house. So it is my plan for November to start pulling this together and at least get 1 or 2 patrols up. And obviously for 31st of October, I'll be on duty patrolling. It'll be great if there are other people who want to sign up as patrollers, or just stick their hand up for 31st of October for traffic control, and just making sure that there's no untoward elements or activities while we've got kids roaming around the street. So please contact me directly. You can also contact Agnese, she can put you in touch. But I'm on the Crime Watch group, so you should be able to find me on that. Or Matt, you can share my details with anyone. So yeah, many ways for people to get in touch with me to volunteer to help with the patrolling on 31st of October for Halloween and beyond for regular patrols. Matt, should I go into the concept for the patrols and how we would like to structure it?
No, okay. I don't think so. I think mainly like this is just a call for, please volunteer. I think also that we want to try to keep it labor not intensive, to kind of just get started. So people mustn't think that they're going to have to go on nightly patrols and, it's going to be very time consuming. We just want to get started. We want to, get going. So please, yeah, even if you can only do like 1 patrol a month or something, let us know, we'll take what we can get at this point. Yeah, thank you, Ross. And then in terms of the executive committee, I just want to say a very big thank you to everybody from this year, which is obviously myself, but I'm not going to thank myself, and Dagmar and Nikki. I want to thank Nikki not just for this year as the treasurer, but also for her previous years as the chair, because Nikki's going to be stepping down from the exco. So I think it's good to give a special thanks to Nikki. It's been great having you. You've done a lot of great work, and I will be calling on you from time to time. But I'll try to let you take a break from all of the stress that you've had over the years. And then, of course, Agnese and Kevin is also going to has also left us now. He's moving back to the US. So I want to thank him for his work, and Ross joined. And then Marie as well. Thank you for your time. I know you left relatively early on in the year, but still all of your work in the past has set up the cleaning team for making it easy for me to manage. So I really do appreciate it. I'm sure the whole community appreciates all of the work that everyone's put in, but particularly Nikki and Marie. Then in terms of the upcoming year, the nominations we have for the new committee is myself to continue as the chairperson in the cleaning program, Dagmar to retain the secretary position. Kate O'Meara is going to be taking over from Nikki. Agnesa is going to stay on social events, and Ross will stay on patrols. And then Dylan Pistorius will be a general member. So what we need to do, and let's see if I manage to set this up correctly, is we need to do a little vote. So I'm going to launch a poll. Please mark if you support us as the executive committee, or if you don't, then let us know. Transparency is key. Okay, we're still looking for 3 more votes. 2 more votes.
Matthew, Agnesa can't vote because there's only one voting option. But if you allow her to vote, she will vote yes.
Oh, yes. No, I think that's fair. I think Wes is also not able to vote. So but I'll just wait till it's been going for 1 minute. There's one person left. I don't know who it is, but I think 14 out of 15 is our threshold is less than the SID. Oh, Wes says they did vote. Okay, so we will end the poll. Thank you everybody for voting. And then just for the Exco, there is a communications role available. So if anybody has the skills, the desire, the passion to help us out with communications, we will gladly discuss with you and see how you can fit in. That's the one role that we haven't been able to fill at this point. And if you are interested, or you know of somebody in the neighborhood that could be interested, let me know and we can talk about this offline. And then guest speaker Francine. Francine, do you need to share your screen or anything like that?
Yes, Matthew, I have a small presentation if that's okay.
Good, yeah, go ahead. I think you should be able to just share.
Super. And I'm clearly audible to everyone?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. So Matthew, you'll just keep time for me.
Sure.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you very much for this opportunity to present to you a little bit about, I suppose, my progress report as your ward councillor. So I am now halfway through my term. I was elected November 2021, so I thought this would be a nice opportunity 3 years into, well, it's actually into a 5-year term, to sort of give a bit of a presentation on some of the work that's been done and some of the projects that we've got going forward in Ward 77. So I just, in terms of the agenda or content items that are covering, just some of the priority projects that I started off with as at the start of the term as your ward councillor, some future projects within the ward that I thought you might be interested about. And then lastly, just a small point on Maynard Street properties, which I'm sure will be an item of interest. So if I just start quickly in terms of the ward and the layout. So my Ward 77, which is half of the Lower Gardens area, includes not only Lower Gardens, quite a bit of District 6, a lot of the vacant land within District 6, the Phase 1, Phase 2 and 3 claimants. Then I've got a whole lot of Devil's Peak and Vredehok, as well as gardens, sort of Upper Gardens area, Oranjezig, Tegervale, Tamboerskloof, and the Boerkaap. I think geographically it's actually one of the bigger wards, also because it includes a lot of Table Mountain, but approximately 18,000 registered voters. Obviously in the gardens area, that sort of splits along Batencon Street between myself and Councillor McMahon, which is the Ward 115. So this helpful map, which I think I actually got from Nikki, is quite helpful to sort of see how my responsibilities as your representative to council, sort of which area I cover versus which area Councillor McMahon covers. So I can speak to some of the issues in Councillor McMahon's area, but he would definitely have a lot more detail on what's going on there. So in terms of priorities, one of the big things I've been trying to focus on in the last 3 years is improving our parks and public open spaces. I think between the drought and COVID, a lot of these parks and public open spaces have become quite neglected, and particularly a lot of them had become occupied or unlawfully occupied. So that was sort of a big focus, and working with our Rec and Parks team to try and get systems in place and make sure that there was sort of ongoing maintenance and and then starting to invest in some CapEx projects. So Duval Park is our big district park in Ward 77. We actually have two, so Company Gardens, which falls within Councillor McMahon's ward, but mine as well is also, they're known as district parks, so they get a lot more budget. Both also are significant heritage sites, so anything we do in those parks has to get heritage approval. But over the last 3 years, we spent a significant amount of money and time refurbishing Duval Park. So the bandstand got a full refurb, the fountain has had 2 refurbs, I think, and the last one I think was a really good waterproofing. I've put 150k into a new jungle gym in the play area. We've completely refurbished the ablution facilities, and the wall has been repaired twice. Once when a bus hit it, which was damaged when I started as a councillor, and the second time after the September storms when a big, I think it was a cedarwood tree, fell on the wall. So, and then we've refurbished the benches. In this financial year, we've allocated money to redo all the hard surfaces in the park. So every area that is paved or tarred is being completely redone. So we're hoping that work will start in the next couple of months and won't be too disruptive over summer, but that's the big investment project for this financial year. Van Riebeek Park is another park that's had quite a bit of love, but we've put a lot of new picnic benches, bins, and then I've also spent quite a bit of time with our roads team on accessibility to the park. So there's a Highlands old age home called Highlands House, which is in the area. They actually approached me because they were finding it very difficult to access the park for the elderly in the area. And then you've obviously got St. Cyprian's, which is a lot of the kids from the school go up to Van Riebeek for play and for sports, and the area wasn't safe. So we've done resurfaced a lot of the pavements and walkways, and we've done a raised pedestrian crossing and a proper entrance into the park as well to make it more accessible. Other parks, we've done some work in Forley Terrace Park, which is in District 6, Joseph Drive Park in Boerkaap. So that's a photo of myself and Zineid. We've refurbished those ablution facilities and reopened them to the public. They were closed for years. And then in Burnside Park, we also did some regrassing, and we've also invested in the refurbishment and reopening of the Burnside ablutions, which I'm quite excited about. It's not something that many people even know. That it looks like a substation. So if you're coming down Kloof Neck Road on your left-hand side, there's a substation and an ablution facility. But I'm quite excited about that one because I think it should be servicing the sort of Uber drivers, taxis, scooter delivery vehicles, as well as sort of homeless that are migrating through the area. We do obviously have a lot of, and have had a lot of problems with sort of defecation and urination in that area. So I'm hoping that'll address it. And then, as I mentioned, Duval Park, hard surfaces. For Lower Gardens, I'm quite excited. So Judlin Road Park, I've really had to fight hard to, and it seems kind of crazy, but it's taken me 2 years of fighting just to have the fence redone at Jutland Road. The budget that's allocated for that is 335k. I've been told that the work will start on the 27th of November. And the plan is to move the fence to the entire perimeter of the earth. So at the moment, it cuts through the middle, which has created a dip, I suppose, where, at one stage, certainly when I started as the councillor, there must have been at least eight structures there. We've obviously got Butter Michael on the top, although he also seems to be missing these days, moving around a bit more. But so the aim is to enclose the entire park so that we can lock it at night. And obviously we can, speak with the neighborhood watch about how the keys might be, how the locking of the park will be managed. And so February 2023, we actually did a massive operation to clean up Jutland Road, Jutland Road Park, but we're still in the process of applying for an eviction application for Butter Michael. Even though, as I say, he doesn't seem to be there at the moment, and we'll obviously continue with social interventions with him to try and get him off the street, although none of that has been, hasn't accepted that help yet. But it doesn't mean that there's not ongoing threats. So that photo on the right side is actually from, September. I took that photo and then logged that issue, and law enforcement managed to move those unlawful occupants along. So there's constant vigilance on Jutland Road Park, constant logging of complaints. And I really hope that I think the fence and the locking of the park at night will then help to start to protect that park a lot more. And then I've got a further 150k of capex. So once the park's been enclosed, I've also asked the City Parks project management team to actually put together a design for Jutland Road Park, which we'll share with you for inputs, so that I have a sense of how we can spend some of that capex money going forward, and what the best sort of use of that space will be, because it's actually a really massive space, but it's very awkward, also given the property alongside, which belongs to national government. And then on Maynard Street Park, Dagmar, we will be, the fencing repairs are going to start on the play equipment repairs are going to start on the 25th of November. And then the fencing project will commence as soon as we're done with Jutland. And I'm still waiting on a date for the regrassing. So that is all still in play for this financial year. Then just some other things that we've been working on, obviously keeping Cape Town clean. So the city has rolled out a recycling program. I know that this is still a massive, massive challenge in the gardens area, especially, or lower gardens area, because of guys sort of scuttling, stealing the bags. I don't think it's been really successful as in other areas. I'm in ongoing conversations with the team about this, because I'm, overall just frustrated by the lack of communication from the service provider. So it is something that we're working on. We have also had across the ward over the last sort of 3 years a number of cleanup programs. We've been handing out compost bins at different parks. So those are just photos. We had one in Homestead Park in Oranjezicht last month, as well as one in District 6. And I'm hoping I can bring this to Lower Gardens once next year, with the refurbishment. Once we've got both Maynard Street and Jutland Road Parks up to scratch, then maybe we can have an open day and a compost bin day for Lower Gardens in those parks. Obviously, another priority has been about addressing homelessness and helping people off the streets and reclaiming our public spaces. So as everybody's obviously aware, the big, it took us a really long time to get that CBD eviction. And I really do appreciate all the patience that you had while we worked through the legal system to get that. And I know it was particularly affected a lot of the residents, certainly at the top of Maynard Street. And yeah, I mean, I think so far so good. We continue to monitor those spaces. I mean, just this week, I think on Monday, I reported another occupant sleeping opposite Jackhammer. So yeah, appreciate the vigilance of the residents. And for myself, I will continue to sort of log complaints and work with our displaced people's unit to address any ongoing vagrancy or occupations. So in the last year, we've actually, or not last year, last 3 years, we've had quite a lot of successes. The properties listed on the right are all those that were sort of occupied when I started as a councillor. I think I mentioned the Burnside Park ablutions. I'm sure everyone remembers Virginia Avenue Park. The photo in the bottom right corner is actually after one of the last fires that they had, and then we managed to sort of clean that up. Lower Maltino, Homestead Park, Mill Street Bridge, obviously, Ben Cross Street. There was a huge area in Squattercliff Park that was occupied, and then Jutland Road Park. Although, as I said, still one more eviction if we're not able to get Butter Michael into a facility. Then we've also been running the Give Dignity campaign. So those are the posters that we handed out, I think that was in August, to businesses along Batencount Street, Upper Batencount, and then Maynard Street and Frederhoek Avenue. The posters are designed, they're kind of localized with contact details of the city's walk-in center and the NGOs working in our space. So we handed out those posters. Some of you might recognize the pharmacy in the middle photo there from from Batencount Street. And I will be happy to continue if anybody wants printing done of those posters or leaflets. I'll be happy to do so. And I think it's something that we can do on an annual basis, is just to remind people about the services that are available to assist. And the photo in the bottom is obviously our new safe space at Ebenezer, which has, been doing really, really well. 300 beds, pretty much at full capacity most of the time. But yeah, so that's just on addressing homelessness. And then in terms of, I suppose, my role as your ward councillor and helping to create safer communities, it's quite difficult, as you know. Sort of safety mandate sits with SAP. So within the city, we try to support as best as possible the sort of collaboration and integration with all the different services that are available in terms of safety in our ward. I have 6 neighborhood watchers that I work with and liaise with on a regular basis. I was actually at the DPV Watch AGM last night as well, and I'm unfortunately missing OH Watch tonight, so shows you guys over there. But yeah, it's been really interesting, and obviously every area comes with its own challenges, but we really are doing my best to support where I can. And obviously, I think, Matthew, you mentioned the bag handover. I know that's been a challenge in the past. So I'm really glad that we've been able to resolve that through the sort of donation via the sub-council. And hopefully we can sort of use that mechanism going forward, because I know it has been some frustration. But I just want to thank you also, and obviously the Neighbourhood Watch, for your amazing work. I've really enjoyed working together with you, and sort of I think there's a lot more that we can do going forward. Just a reminder, obviously, from the city side, our emergency number, please do call that whenever you need some help. And we actually had 3 fires today. I don't know if you guys saw. Bit of a strange day, but obviously the emergency number is not just for law enforcement, but also for fire services, ambulance services, will direct SAPs as well, and you'll get a reference number. So if you're not happy with the outcome of the call, you can send that reference to me and we can sort of follow up. This is also something I've been working on, and I haven't really communicated about this a lot, but it's actually been an ongoing challenge that I've been working on also since I started as a councillor. I was contacted by the management of Sloane Square, who've been complaining a great deal, and rightfully so, about the unlawful behaviour of the scooter delivery vehicles servicing KFC.
Yeah, we seem to have lost.
And there's a little dark kitchen in the. So am I audible?
You're going in and out.
Oh dear.
I think you might be back now.
Am I back?
I think so.
All right. I'll just pick up on the scooter delivery stuff.
Yeah.
All right. So I was just noting that the scooters, obviously it's been a real challenge because the delivery bikes servicing both the KFC and the dark kitchen are parking unlawfully on the pavement. And I think the biggest risk is really the fact that they drive up and down the pavement. So when people coming out of the Sloane Square entrance, which is sort of on the right corner, they get knocked by the bikes, or, there's just a lot of risk involved there. And And obviously it's not a, I think people get frustrated by the fact that the drivers are sort of loitering. They sit on against the wall, and in more recent days, they've actually started threatening some of the management and so on. So it's been quite unpleasant. From the city side, we try to enforce traffic, do regular operations there, find the vehicles, find the drivers or impound the vehicles. But we're finding that, especially with fines, it doesn't really have much effect. As solutions, we've obviously put some signage up saying no bikes, but it's clearly not adhered to. And I've tried to I have installed bike bays on the other side of the road. Unfortunately, not able to put anything outside Sloane Square because those bays are used as loading bays. So more recently, though, I mean, I obviously responded to ongoing complaints from the building management that, you know, they also need to address the concerns with the tenants of the building, i.e. KFC and the dark kitchen, who ultimately, you know, they're the reason that the bikes are there. So, you know, recognizing, of course, that everybody's trying to make a living, and these delivery bikes and the drivers themselves, you know, it's hard graft. But at the same time, we can't allow people to continue behaving in an unlawful way. So we've been working quite closely with Uber Eats and Mr. D and Take a Lot. They've come to a lot of our meetings lately, and we're looking at ways. I mean, it's really the management of Sloane Square who are actually now reporting and giving in the license plate numbers. And the drivers are then being either reprimanded and then eventually blacklisted from the platform as a measure of, I suppose, getting enforcement. It does seem to be helping on occasion, but it's not foolproof. So one of the other options that we're looking at, and this was actually a solution from Young Urbanists, which is I suppose an organization looking more at landscaping and public realm and public spaces, is actually the image in the bottom left corner, where they are looking at private funding to install some benches under the trees. So with the idea that would then incentivize the drivers to actually sit on that side, because we think that the reason the drivers are sitting on the KFC side, well, not only is because of the proximity to the deliveries, but is because the area is shaded. So we're thinking that maybe if we can make the area more comfortable on the jackhammer side, then they could possibly spend more time on that side. So the illustration on the left, and additional scooter bays, but that will depend on, we'd have to get some consideration from Jackhammer there, because I know they are using some of those bays as loading bays as well, which is also not ideal, but we need to work that out. Yeah, so those are kind of the solutions there. Am I still okay for time, Matthew? Keep whizzing through.
We've got a little bit over, but I'm finding it quite interesting. So
okay. Maybe I'll just do a few more slides then. So I know, I mean, I can also talk at length about this, but I think this is something that's concerning all residents at the moment, is the safety on Cliff Neck Road. After we've had now 3 accidents in the last few weeks, 6 weeks, and obviously there was another major accident a year ago. This whole situation has been deeply upsetting for me. I, have been working with officials, and this is a priority at the moment to try and implement some measures, additional measures, to address the safety concerns here. I actually just got a report today on short-term interventions, although short-term means hopefully implementation by December, and then some longer-term interventions or medium-term interventions, which we'll hopefully be able to implement early next year. Unfortunately, supply chain management processes in the city are always very complex, or just are the reasons why we're not able to just snap our fingers and implement. But we have done quite a bit in the last year before December, including sort of additional traffic signals, reducing the speed on the road, and also additional signage. But yeah, we're going to look at what we can do more. Just some future projects I thought you might be of interest. I actually had a confirmation today. So we are doing a complete review of the intersection at Krishula Avenue, so Philip Kasana. This is largely done as a result of sort of complaints that I've received from residents in the Vredehok area, just about the safety of exit and entry points here at Krishula. The department, it's taken some bit of time, but we've actually just had confirmation that the proposal that we've been working on has passed through peer review within the department, within the city. So our next step would be we're going to do sort of an further step of consultation, and then I'm hoping that we'll be able to take it out to public participation. So we'll share that information with you. That'll likely be in the sort of Q1 of next year. And then I did also confirm that the urban mobility or traffic network planning are actually reviewing the entire signal timing along this sort of road. So I don't want to say Philip Cassano, but obviously from Mill Street right through to Upper Orange and, sorry, not Upper Orange, Mill, Orange and Annandale. So yeah, so that whole area is getting a signal timing review. And again, the study will hopefully be complete in this year, and any changes then implemented from the next financial year. But I know, for example, and I see this myself, that how complicated or confusing the signaling is, particularly under the bridge around the My City. I often see people on one half jumping because the other half has already turned green, but their light is actually red, for example. So I think some of that, and then there's a green signal for a bus, but the people on one side don't see that, they're jumping, etc. So, or they're getting impatient. So I think that whole intersection is part of this review. So again, once there's some feedback on that, I'll let you know. And then I'm really going to go very quickly through the last through. So this is just a really big project that we're working on in the Boerkaap. It's an entirely new trading area. I'm really excited about this. If anyone goes to Boerkaap, you'll know about, if you go to the top of Whale Street, corner of Pence and Joseph Drive, there's a very underutilized, dark, public open space. It's actually in front of one of the oldest houses in Boerkaap, which is Spoelende House. So we're hoping this will be completed within the next financial year. So trading bays, 8 trading bays, and some seating, and yeah, it's just a wonderful redesign of that underutilized space. Strand Street Quarry, if anyone's aware, also massive underutilized sports field, but also unlawfully occupied. There's a big plan at the moment to convert this into a multi-sports facility. In the short term, I'm doing a lot of work there to try and just get the field regrassed, irrigation, some multi-sport poles up so that it can be used for training. So it's not underutilized, but long term, there's some big plans, as you can see from this illustration, to create a wonderful new space, restaurants, entertainment facilities, but primarily also a focus on sport, which I think will be really positive. So that's actually just going through EIA, environmental impact assessments. And obviously this is a significant heritage site. When anyone doesn't know, it's actually where the original stone came from for the castle, and apparently was 66 in the 1600s was when they started that quarry. So it's obviously got a significant history, a significant and heritage, cultural heritage. So we have to go through quite a lot of reviews with various heritage bodies in order to get this approved. And then finally, this is the last point, just the Maynard Street disposal, the property disposals. So for those to where the vacant properties, we're progressing in terms, and this is something I just want to keep pushing because I know that it does impact on safety in the area. So 21 Maynard Street has gone on auction twice now. We haven't had a successful bid for that. The last conversation I had with property management, they said that it was going to go again, but I would like to push them to think a little bit more about the platform that we're using, because I think that might be a barrier to entry for this type of property, given that single residential property. And then 15 Maynard Street is actually going to council for approval this coming Wednesday, the 30th of October. And that's also one of the other vacant streets. And then 18A Scott Street has come through sub-council for approval. So the next step would be for it to come to council as well, but I don't have a specific timeline on that. In terms of the occupied properties, I did follow up again today with property management about meaningful engagements with the tenants. They're still, I suppose, organizing themselves, but I'll keep that conversation going as well so that we can get that done at the appropriate time. And that is it. Sorry. Thank you, Matthew.
I found that quite insightful. So we've got about
a few questions.
Yeah, we've got about 10 minutes left. There is a question here from Jeanette. I don't know if you can see that, but it's what is scheduled for Robbie Neurock Clinic?
So I don't know. I keep meaning to do this, but I've already spoken to a sub-council manager about setting up a meeting with Minister Tertia Simmers, who's the Minister for Public Works or Infrastructure at provincial government. So Robbie Neerock, the parking lots, primarily are the two that are of concern for me. I've actually got some smaller properties also within Frederhoek, interestingly, that also belong to infrastructure. So that is something I need to push on. I actually don't know at this stage. But as soon as I know, if we can get that meeting with the minister and then find out, I'll let you know.
Great. Does anybody else have any questions? Are there any plans to improve traffic at Jackhammer? They really need to have an entry and a separate exit.
I agree. I'm a little bit concerned actually because I've noticed over time that I think they're using multiple entrances for deliveries. I've seen cement coming out of a door on the one side and bricks coming out of a door on the other side. So I do think we need to review their land use as well as traffic and then off the back of that, the traffic management. They should really only be using the main entrance on Maynard Street at this time. The other entrances are not designed for deliveries the way that they are. So thank you. If you can bear with me, it's something I need to follow up on.
Okay. Any other questions? No. Okay, then thank you, Francine, and thank you everybody else for attending. I found it very insightful. So yeah, thanks everyone, and hopefully continue supporting the Watch. And we will, be having social soon, and I hope to see you all there.
Thanks, Matthew. Bye, everyone.
Cheers.
Cheers. Bye, guys. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thanks.